What is happening, guys? Cowboy here, and today's video is sponsored by Maneater as we take a look at how to become the baddest bull shark in the sea. Now in today's video there are going to be quite a few spoilers as we take a look at all the endgame enhancements and body parts and just how ridiculous your shark can fully become, so heads up and fair warning. If you're watching the Let's Play, it'll be quite a while before we get to this point, but obviously a pretty sharp contrast from the fact that we are a massive mega here and still a baby at this point in the LP series. But going on out, once you get to the end of the game, you eventually attain the size of Mega Shark. Now this happens very, very late, but as you can see, we are incredibly large enough so that pretty much anything that we come across is going to fit in our mouth. In fact, the only enemy we can't fit in our mouth this late into the game is a sperm whale because they're just absolutely massive. And you can still play the game as just your regular old bull shark without loading up on all the unique upgrades, but that's no fun. As you can see, it's still pretty straightforward.
With her pranks and hijinks is now the subject of a county-wide shark hunt.
As you can see, doing a dodge there, we don't do almost anything to the boat. We can hop on it and we can eat people. But right now, we're little more than just like Jaws, you know? We're very basic. There's not much, we're not doing too much. And that's where all of our upgrades come in. So, going on in here, the first thing we're gonna do is talk about our organ upgrades, and then from there we'll take a look at all of the part upgrades, which are where things really get spicy. So with organs, first up we have advanced sonar. You get this fairly early in the game, and I'd suggest upgrading this first. The 300% radius is incredibly helpful in finding the location of caches and landmarks, and the landmarks in particular will help you get more upgrades, so upgrade that sonar. Moving on from there, we have Hearty. Hearty is pretty straightforward. You get boat crew knockback resistance and max health, can't really go wrong with it. Moving on, we have mineral and protein digestion. Now these I would consider integral to the gameplay of the game. I had these on for the majority of the time I played. They are going to help you level up immensely. When these are maxed, you have an extra 30% protein or mineral as you're eating. Two of the main sets in the game, the bone set as well as the shadow set, are going to level up based on minerals and protein. So very, very good passives to get early on. And on top of that, the 30% health on feeding isn't too shabby in combat. If you have to disengage and go down and eat something, if you have two of these on, you're getting an extra 60% health per bite. Or excuse me, per thing you finish eating. Moving down, we have Adrenal Gland, and this works on low health, so kind of like a critical style build. It seems like a lot of that is escape oriented, but the max speed and lunge speed and acceleration bonus can actually help a lot if you are playing a bone build and focused around ramming boats. We have Amphibious, which will allow you to jump up on golf courses and stay up there for quite a while, just nomming on whatever you want, maybe play a couple rounds. And then later on in the game, we gain access to Fat Digestion and Mutagen Digestion. Now, Fat Digestion is definitely worth maxing on out because you're going to be using fat to upgrade a couple different parts as well as the third primary set of the game, but you can get by without using Mutagen Digestion as long as you are taking the time to pick up all the caches, and that kind of goes back into having that sonar upgraded. With the sonar upgraded, you can find those caches, and I have everything fully maxed out, and as you can see up here, I still have almost 2,000 mutagens sitting around, and that's probably just from the spare albino that I ate every now and then. Moving on into the good stuff though, reinforced cartilage, flat 15% damage resistance, great pickup, and quite a few of these are going to come from doing these missions. As you can see, going after these, I get pretty much the full bio set. I want to say reinforced is from the Great White Apex, but just a solid choice to pick up. And my personal favorite, brutal muscles. This gives us max speed, tail whip damage, acceleration bonus, tail whip force, and swim speed. Lastly, you get subliminal evasion. This will make it so that the only thing that's hostile to you is basically a sperm whale, but you know, I don't care if stuff's hostile because to me everything is a meal, so I don't bother running that. So late game, I would suggest reinforced, brutal muscles, and Hearty. This is just like the holy trinity of being a big tanky shark. Can't really go wrong with it. But jumping on into the part upgrades, to start, let's take a look at the shadow set. Now the shadow set is based around building up poison counters on an enemy. You can get up to 30 poison counters, which would translate out to 30% increased damage on targets, 30% reduced damage that the target is capable of doing, and a 30% speed debuff on the target as well. So very, very helpful when you're fighting wildlife, things like orcas or other sharks or sperm whales. Anything that you are trying to fight, the shadow set is, in my opinion, the best go-to set, because you're making it take more damage, it's dealing less damage, and it's going to be moving slower, just allowing you to circle around and chomp it on down. As for the specific parts, the body, which is what we're going to be starting with, gives you access to shadow form. This is going to slow time around you in half, and anytime you do a lunge or otherwise hit shift and do like your little dash move, you're going to instantly build up 10 poison counters on anything that's within 10 meters of you. So very, very nice body bonus. The shadow teeth, one of my favorite parts in the game, give you a 30% boost to your bite damage and a 50 health drain every time you bite. Incredible piece. Pretty much no matter what set I'm running, I usually keep on the shadow teeth just because of how useful this is. The shadow head will give us some lunge speed and a 25% boost to thrash damage. The fins will do a 5 counter poison cloud anytime we evade, and then the tail will do a 5 poison counter AoE. It's like a projectile glob that you basically whack on out at targets, and whatever it's going to hit, it will create a poison counters within the 10-meter radius. So we're going to jump on out and show you how this set deals in combat. This set will absolutely shred wildlife. Let me see if I could... I'll make my way over to show some wildlife real fast, just because this is the anti-wildlife set, in my opinion. I'm not going to do it with every single set. Well, here we go. Here's a hammerhead. And even if we weren't just chomping this, as you can see, just building up these poison counters, the hammerhead is already really slow. It can't really get on top of me. I'm able to just build these up. Calm it on down.
It seems Port Clovis has forgotten all about its rogue shark.
But it is decently effective against humans as well.
Port Clovis responds with swift retributive action.
That lunge speed bonus really allows you to just swing from target to target, kind of how you're seeing right now. If I pop up shadow form, combine lunges and with evades and a couple tail whips here and there. As you can see, I become anime shark all of a sudden with all the dashing. And now, even though I've already retreated, you can just see all of the poison counters that have built up on everything. This is very much the kind of set that you would run if you want to target the humans in particular. If you're not worried about the boats and you more want to pick off targets, this is an excellent set to run. As you can see, our pure boat damage isn't really that high with it. You know, this is a set it'll tear humans apart. But if we are concerned with destroying the boats that they're on, it's not going to be a very strong set to work with. But we do have another set that is designed exactly for that. So, back in the grotto, let's take a look at the bone set. Now, the bone set is designed to pretty much just absolutely shred boats. Incredibly strong set, makes you very beefy, you gain a lot of mass. First up, we got the bone body. This gives you bone crusher. We basically turn into a battering ram, get 100% ramming damage bonus, and when we lunge, we're getting lunge speed, max speed, acceleration bonus, ram force, crew ejection chance, and swim speed. So very, very, very kind of just in-your-face style of play. You were just ramming through things. The bone teeth will give you a thrash damage and bone bite damage bonus. The bone head will give you more ramming damage and a bunch of different passives. The fins will give us 50 damage anytime that we do an evade to anything within 2 meters, and we also do a barrel roll type effect, so we can jump into the air and come evading and crashing down on objects to deal a fair amount of damage. And then the tail gives us more tail whip force damage and more ramming as well. So let's jump back on out. I'm going to eat a couple things just to get my health back up. and we will go visit our human friends. See that that is our barrel roll. And with the active up, I like to ram and then immediately go into the tail whip. Now, the one thing you got to be careful with when using this set is because you spend a lot of time above water ramming, you got to make sure that you dive on down and you can get your health back up, because you don't have the same, you don't have the health on bite that you would have with something like the Shadow set. So you're going to need to disengage, go on down, eat a couple things. But I mean, kind of as you saw there, when it comes to just destroying boats, just the sheer damage you can do with this set is absurd. So especially on going after the bounty missions when you're trying to get up to level 10 bounty, destroying the boats themselves will help raise the bounty level a lot faster. And to that extent, the bone set is going to be second to none. It is the de facto set when it comes to destroying your targets. Let's go over to the grotto. We got one more set to show off. This last set is, I think it's best described as kind of a jack-of-all-trades type set. It's decent against wildlife, it's decent against boats, but I don't think it excels in any one category, whereas Shadow is very good against wildlife, and Bone is very good against boats.
Safe haven.
Now, this set pretty much purely comes from the bounty missions, bioelectric set. This one was the one that was shown off in a lot of the trailers, and it is a very, very potent set. The main gist of this set is you will deal stun counters to targets, and once you hit 10, you're going to literally stun the target and it's not going to be able to move. So it can be useful for fighting bigger wildlife, things like sperm whales or whatnot. They'll just flop upside down and they won't be able to move whatsoever. Our unique ability is Lightning Burst. We literally turn into lightning. So we have a huge aura. It's going to hurt anything nearby us. Anytime we do a lunge, we're going to do 20 damage and 6 stun counters on anything within 9 meters. As for the teeth are just going to add stun counters with every bite. You get these pretty early, so they can help early on, especially in some of the early engagements, to help stun things down, to help deal more damage until you get stuff like the shadow teeth. The head, anytime we slam a boat, it gets locked in water for 10 seconds, it can't move. The fins will turn us into lightning and give us 100% damage resistance on evade, which is incredibly powerful. You can literally phase through things. Think of it like light rolls in Dark Souls, just max iframes. And then the tail will do a wave of electricity, which is quite potent. Literally a wave of electricity that you're sending on out. Let's head back on out. I'll eat some things to get our health up, and then I'll show you how effective this set is. And as you can see, the thrash takes quite a bit longer, whereas both the shadow set as well as the bone set have bonuses towards thrash damage. You're gonna have to spend a little bit more time thrashing, but if you're focusing on just biting, as you can see, we can kill stuff just as easily. So you can see the electrical counters are building up very fast on stuff. But as you can see, we don't really have the same tankiness as we do with other sets, so you really got to be on top of your evades. Because the fact that you get 100% damage resistance while invading is incredibly strong. You don't need to worry about timing your evades with a perfect time. So anytime you typically do an evade, as you probably noticed, there's like a small circle and then eventually a diamond or a square kind of comes around you. That is when you actually need the time to evade to remove any damage that would be happening to you. But with this evade, you don't even need to really worry about it. You can just, you literally become lightning. You can't take damage. The lightning AoE is also really useful for just killing like little wildlife, like on the missions where it's like
The hunt is over.
kill 10
And there will be
humans
an
or
inevitable
kill 10
rush
parrotfish
on
or whatever the
dollar
case
drafts
is.
at Flamingo Joe's.
Having those lightning AoEs can be very potent.
Shark hunters stalk their prey, fully aware of the grisly horrors that await them on a single visit.
I'm electric sharku! Oh boy. I really made him angry this time.
Once more,
Barely got
the
out of that
shark
alive.
turns back to this place of centered calm.
Alright, so before we wrap up, I want to talk about comboing sets and what you can do to essentially kind of find your own playstyle here. Now, personally, as I mentioned, I'm a big fan of the Shadow Teeth, so we're going to be running that first. This will give us bite damage and the extra health. In comparison, we don't really need the boat bite damage, and I don't need to worry about the electric counters there. As for the head, I'm not worried about stopping where a boat's at. The thrash damage could be useful, but taking out boats is incredibly potent, so we'll put on the bone head to pick up the ramming damage. As for our body, bone body is going to be incredibly strong in general to help shatter boats, but instead, if you're more worried about fighting wildlife, I would stick with shadow body. Going over here, as for the fins, if you did want to keep a piece of the bio gear, the bioelectric fins are going to be an excellent all-around piece because of the 100% damage resistance. While having the barrel roll effect that the bone fins provide, having 100% damage resistance and 70 evade spin is incredibly potent. And then on the tail, personally, I usually end up going for bone tail here just for the extra tail whip damage that I'm getting from it, as opposed to the shadow tail, which is a really good choice if you are exploring because of the max speed and swim speed. I think this is going to be the overall better bet. So this is kind of a look at what a mixed set would look like. Now, obviously, we look incredibly goofy here, but we are taking basically the best parts of each set. We are pulling up the extra bite damage, which is always good, the health on bite. We have the main tenets for we have the ramming damage here, the ramming damage here, the ramming damage here. We have the evade. The fin up here is only a 15% ramming damage that we're losing, and down here we don't have ramming damage. So doing a set like this, we still have a lot of self-sustain, we have a lot of evasion, and most importantly, we've managed to maintain the main ramming benefits that we get from running the bone set. So we're just going to find some stuff to eat, get our health up, and then we'll re-engage the boats one last time to kind of show how effective a mixed set can be. And see, as opposed to thrashing, just munching down that hammerhead got us back a ton of health. That's because of our wonderful shadow.
Another shark draws to a close.
Alright, so let's head back up. I've never seen that before. Huh, I'm honestly I'm not even sure what that is. Oh, is that our bone body on lunge? That must be our bone body being active. I just usually don't break water with it, I guess. Early morning
Bonuses,
fishing,
most
is it?
disreputable citizens have converged on the area.
Alright, so we will dunk over these two boats and then probably wrap up there.
Who wants to kill another shark?
Biological engine.
So kind of as you can see there, going for a mixed set approach, it allowed us to keep the majority of big ramming damage that we got from running something like the bone set. At the same time, we got the evasive bonuses of having the bioelectric, and then we had the extra health that comes along with having access to the shadow set. And that's probably one of the greatest things about this as well. At the start of the game, it's very simple. You know, you're a shark, and you're gonna go around and you're gonna eat stuff. The more time that you spend in Maneater and the more that you spend on getting your upgrades and kind of actually investing in it, you can really become a pretty absurdly strong shark, especially when you know what things to put together. So either way, guys, that is going to wrap things up for this video. Big thanks again to the folks over at Maneater for sponsoring it. Had a lot of fun playing this game. Let's Play series is still on the way, obviously, so keep your eyes out for that. That'll be ongoing for quite a few days. But otherwise, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys next time.